Hey everyone, let's jump right into today's scripture readings for the Friday of the 32nd week in Ordinary Time. They've got this really powerful two-part message for us. First, how to see God in the world all around us. And second, how to live ready for what's coming next. Let's get into it. So, if you boil it all down, this is the single, unified message right at the heart of today's scripture. It's really a two-part call to action. First, it's about opening our eyes to the signs God has literally placed everywhere. And second, it's about preparing our hearts for the moment we meet Him. We're going to break both of these ideas down. All right, so let's start with that first part of the message, creation. The Book of Wisdom today really challenges us to look at the world differently, not just as, a bunch of stuff, but as a direct message pointing to someone so much greater. The core idea here has a name. It's called natural revelation. What does that mean? Well, the reading from Wisdom basically argues that the universe itself is shouting about its creator. The sheer power of the wind, the beauty of the stars, the rhythm of the seasons. These things aren't just random. They're like little reflections of a divine artist's power and beauty. The Book of Wisdom gives us this really powerful metaphor here. Creation is meant to be a ladder. Its whole purpose is to help us climb, to lead our minds from the thing that was made upward to the one who made it. The mistake, the book warns us, is getting so caught up admiring the individual rungs that we completely forget to actually climb the ladder. So if creation is a ladder, you could also say that nature itself is like a cathedral. It's this sacred space, and it's just filled with signs pointing upward, all of them designed to inspire awe and get us thinking about the architect behind it all. And the responsorial psalm today echoes this perfectly. It tells us that creation is kind of like a universal evangelist. It doesn't even need words. Day and night, the cosmos itself testifies to God's presence and glory. It's like a sermon being preached in a language that every single person can understand. But seeing the signs in creation, that's only the first step. The gospel reading today really pivots our focus from the wonder of the message to the urgency of how we respond. It is for sure a wake-up call, and it's aimed right at us. Jesus asks this really piercing question by comparing his return to the days of Noah. Now, he's not trying to scare us, but he does want us to ask ourselves a pretty serious question. Are we paying attention? Or are we just so absorbed in the day-to-day grind that we've become, spiritually asleep? You can see this crucial contrast right here. I mean, look at the activities on the left. They aren't evil things in and of themselves. Eating, drinking, buying, selling, that's just life, right? But Jesus' point is that these ordinary, necessary things can completely take over our attention and just make us numb to God's warnings. The remedy isn't to stop living, but to infuse our lives with the things on the right: prayer, a healthy detachment from things, and just a constant state of readiness. And then Jesus gives this incredibly sharp, almost abrupt warning. Remember the wife of Lot. Why her? Because she looked back. She couldn't let go of the life she was leaving behind, and it completely destroyed her. This is a huge call to what we call holy detachment, making sure our grip on worldly things doesn't stop us from moving forward with Him when the time comes. Men, this quote from St. John Chrysostom just sums up the whole warning perfectly. The real threat to our souls isn't always some big, dramatic attack from the outside. Way more often, it's this slow, creeping numbness from within, this spiritual sleepiness. Jesus' warning is really a wake-up call, and it's spoken in love. So, what does this watchfulness and detachment actually look like in a real person's life? Thankfully, the Church gives us a really powerful example to think about today. A perfect example of this is St. Lawrence O'Toole. He was the Archbishop of Dublin during a time of just intense political turmoil, and his life is basically a masterclass in the very virtues these readings are calling us to: charity, peacemaking, and this unwavering focus on Christ. And this story from his life it's just incredible. So while he's celebrating Mass, a man attacks him and wounds him badly. But his response is just this stunning example of readiness. He didn't panic. He didn't call for revenge. He simply asked for some water, he blessed it, put it on his wound, and then he just continued the Mass. His focus was totally on Christ in the Eucharist, even in the middle of a violent attack. That right there is spiritual watchfulness in action. Okay, so we've got the theology from creation, and we've got the urgent call from the gospel, plus a real-life example. Now, how do we bring this all together and actually apply it to our own lives, right here, right now?
To make this super practical, try thinking about spiritual readiness like a lifeboat drill on a cruise ship. The ship is sailing along, everyone's having a great time, enjoying the days of Noah, eating, drinking, relaxing. But then the ship's horn sounds for a drill. That's the call to be ready now, not when disaster actually strikes.
So what is holy detachment in this analogy? Well, it's being willing to let go of the cabin comforts, all your worldly attachments, to secure your spot on the lifeboat, which is Christ. The whole point is that you have to respond before the emergency, before that unexpected moment shows up. And we can make this even more concrete by imitating St. Lawrence. Here are 3 things you could literally do today. First, bring a renewed sense of reverence and focus to your prayer or to Mass. Second, be a peacemaker. Intentionally try to mend a relationship or de-escalate a conflict. And third, follow his amazing example of charity and serve someone in need in a real, tangible way. So here is your final, personal call to action. What is one cabin comfort that you're clinging to? It could be a physical comfort, a digital distraction that eats your time, or maybe an old resentment you just can't shake. Choose just one thing and make a conscious decision today to let it go and surrender it to Jesus. Ultimately, this call to readiness isn't about fear, it's all about hope. Just like the Alleluia verse reminds us, we are waiting for our redemption. So the final takeaway is this: live with your eyes wide open to the wonder of creation and your heart ready for the return of the Creator. Live alert, live with love, and live ready.